You know how they always did things in the barbershop?
Yeah.
Hey, dog, we in the clothier. You know, he look like Pele. You ain't missing much, but anyway, you know what I mean?
He ain't good.
Hey, Roy, so
I got this cheap ass jersey on.
Hey, I appreciate you. Life After Sports, 23. James Harris from East St. Louis.
What's going on, Royce? What's happening, baby?
But you know what?
You got a fan?
You might not like him. He was a Cubs fan, man. You know what I mean?
That's all right, buddy. I fuck with my St. Louis dudes.
How's that possible?
What he say?
He said Cubs are garbage.
Cubs, they are garbage. I'm from East St. though, man.
He from East St. Louis.
I just pick and choose what I like. That's all.
You know what I mean? Hey,
Put a boogie down.
Hey, you know about the boogie down, huh? Yeah.
Hey, so.
Oh, hell yeah. The boogie down.
Yeah, that's born and raised. 46 in state.
But, you know, for everybody, Royce Clayton's on.
Okay.
This is my homie. Shoot. His resume is long, too, though. But, Royce, you see the shirt right here? You see that shirt?
Yeah.
I wore it partially because all these are great fathers here. I mean, everybody, but I wore it for you. You know that?
You see that?
Yeah, look at Malcolm. Hey, Malcolm X. Hey, man, great minds think alike. You know what I mean?
There you go.
You probably wore that. You probably wore that for me because I used to try to talk sense into you. You know what I mean?
I see where this is going.
So you wore that for him. I wore this for you.
Yeah, he wore it.
You know what I mean?
Well, so you got to stand up because he can't see you.
Behind you. Stand
behind me. Pele going to stand up right now. Look at it. That's Pele.
Okay. Padre.
You got yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is his establishment. You know, we trying to keep it in our community, and Life After Sports 23 brought me and James together. You know, NFL. You know what I mean? But it's a platform for anybody to tell their story. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's just not about sports. Like I said, when I put this shirt on today, I thought of my guy because you give your history. I'm not going to talk about you like I'm a girl or something, man. You go ahead.
It's just blessing after blessing. I see it. I mean, a young kid from Inglewood that fell in love with the game of baseball, watching my childhood hero up at Dodger Stadium. And, the rest is history as far as the baseball side. But, first and foremost, raised by, mom and dad, out of parent home, raised me, my mom, and, coming from our community, it was a norm, but started to be a very rare situation. But both me and my brother had, my mom and dad till my dad passed 3 years ago at the age of 93. So that speaks to who I am, man. I was raised by a family. We had community. We had people that cared about us, extended outside our family, and just felt that love all the way through. And I'm definitely a byproduct of that through Inglewood. But, my family, my mom and dad raised us. And, like I said, the baseball history that's another story. But the upbringing I had coming up as a kid.
Yeah, that's what's up, though, man. And I know your family, so he and his big bro, and I mean that's my homie too. Yeah. So, but give us the history of, how did it all start? Because, like I said, being, your journey. You know what I mean? Because and Roy's coaches too. So, and I used to do the same thing. These kids want instant gratification now. They don't enjoy the journey at all. You know what I mean? They don't like the process of the journey. So first, give us your journey, and then, we'll move on to something else. Like how did it all start?
Well, again with Pops was about education. So he wasn't too hyped about, sports or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I tell people all the time, my dad never threw a ball to me and my brother. Never played catch with us, but we had this burning to play all sports. And I think I was 8 and Roy was 13. We finally played baseball. And, you know, my first team was the Red Sox, and, you know, Royal played for the Cardinals, and we went up to Rogers Park, and, you know, Rogers Park is no joke.
That's the hood.
So I was literally, my homeboy Sheldon lived down the street, so I was to practice, but, you know, these Inglewood family dudes be on the porch trying to chase us, steal my gloves. So I used to get a head start and start running down the street. They probably weren't going to take it, G, but I was like, man, you ain't going to take my glove. My dad would kill me.
Yeah, but back then we only got one, though. You know, it's like mine. You know,
that's it.
We only got one.
Take my one glove, no way. And it was a Hank Aaron signature model, too. It had the Hank Aaron logo inside, so... I mean, that's kind of like the story is like I tell kids all the time, I was so protective of that glove, and I knew where it was. I slept with the glove, and, you know, I wouldn't let it out my sight, but because I wanted to play so bad, and it just had a passion for it. And, you know, my first situation of playing Little League Baseball was at Rogers Park in Inglewood.
That's what's up.
It was more about the love for the game and not separating with this glove. That glove signified something, you know what I mean? And probably signified where you was trying to get to, you know what I'm saying? And I'm from East St. Louis, born and raised on 46th State, you know what I'm saying? So you kind of grew up the same way I grew up, you know what I'm saying? And I remember, you know, walking through the hood as a little kid, and Joker be talking about, hey, little man, let me get that football, let me get that helmet. I'd be like, no, man, this is my thing, man, nah. You know, and I know your feeling, you know what I'm saying? Because we have to pass through a certain place where we know they be cutting up, but we got to get to the field. You know, and Joe be like, man, throw me the ball, little man. I'd be like, no, dog. He'd be like, because I ain't throwing it to you because you ain't going to throw it back. He'd be like, I'm going to throw it back. And I know he lying. I know he fucking lying.
It's the same thing, man. As a matter of fact, that Ricky and Boys in the Hood was the same thing. I seen that before the movie happened. I seen that a lot of times. They're like, man, you better not throw your ball over there. It ain't coming back.
Yes, but you got to be from the hood to understand that when you saw that scene in Boys in the Hood, and guys like me and you probably was like, man, that's real, because we had to pass through there and to get to where we need to be, to get to where we end up being in the pros, you know what I'm saying? And then we couldn't show the fear that we was scared because they was gonna mess with you every day you come through there. But so you don't show the fear, you just be like, man, this is what I'm into, man. Then, you know, it's always one old head be like, man, let that little nigga, let that little dude, man, leave him alone, man, let him go, man, he gonna be somebody, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I understand what you're talking about, man, and for a lot of guys that's out in our audience that's listening, they're gonna identify with it.
Well, shit, I could too. Like I said, it's a crazy story. You know, we played with the older guys. We played baseball, football, whatever. One didn't go get a gun or get something to chase the other one. We just wait on the grass. So they ain't going to do nothing to each other. But the first time I came to Oakland, the chaplain said, you know, you go to chapel. He said, hey, man, I need to talk to you afterwards. I got a present from you. I'm like, the chaplain at Folsom Prison has a present for me. I was like, he said, hey, Michael Slayton told me to tell you what's up. You know what I mean? Now, Michael Slayton was the man. I mean, he I don't want to say what he was doing, but he was doing it. And at an early age, and he sent me a Folsom Prison hat. You know what I mean? But he was also the one that said, hey, we got this going on. Hey, going home. Go. You know what I mean? Don't get caught up in this. So, you know, I think all of us can relate to that. But, you know, but like I said, Royce is the coach. But you got to tell us a little bit about the journey, though. I mean, high school.
Yeah, so high school was crazy. My parents said, you know, we don't want you going to Inglewood High or Morningside. You know, shout out to Inglewood or Morningside, but it was like, nah. you got some talent. My brother went to an all-boys Catholic school. I was like, nah, I wanted to go to that co-ed. St. Bernard's had the honey. So I had to go where the honeys were.
That's my boy. That's my boy.
Actually, what's crazy is, like, on the baseball side, my high school coach was a LAPD officer. So this, white dude that, been through a lot of stuff and in the hood and Watts and everything. But he took a liking to me and passion and tried to coach as much as he could. And then he got the high school job, and that kind of, fell into play for myself. And he just, you always need somebody to also kind of be an advocate for you. And Bob Yarnell was a big advocate for me because he saw my passion and, stayed at St. Bernard's High School. We went to Dodger Stadium, CIF championship game. So we had some real good teams and was able to establish a tradition. But during that process, like my junior year, I found out that, Greg, you'll recognize this, that Darryl Strawberry, Eric Davis, Chris Brown, Bip Roberts were all at this place, this park called Harvard Park, about 10 minutes from my house, and they called the Program. So one of my homies told me about it, and I went out there, and I see all these brand new baseballs and these fancy cars lined up at the park. And I'm like, man, these brothers are really out here. So I just started picking up baseballs out in the outfield. After like 4 or 5 days, Eric Davis came up to me and he called me Kid. He goes, "Hey, Kid, you want to take some swings?" It's kind of like one of those movies where I was like, hell yeah. And Eric Davis handed me a C271, dog. I'll never forget it. And I was like, damn, I'm holding Eric Davis's bat. So I was, started hitting. And then, they used to have chicken. Paul Blair would go get chicken and they go get Henny and beer and just sit there and talk baseball, light a fire in the garbage cans and sit there, and I just listened and soaked it up. And the funny thing is, they're like, "Hey, Kid, what's your story?" I said, "Yeah, man, I got a chance to be, do some things. SC's on me and, blah, blah, blah." And Shaw goes, "Man, that was a first-round pick. You ain't going to do shit."
That sounds like D.
I went home. He hurt my feelings so bad. I went home and took his poster off the wall. He hurt my feelings, dog. I was like, man. But no, that became family, like Straw and ED and Barry Larkin came out one year, man. And them dudes made me feel some type of way. Like I could feel it, and I could feel, just their presence. And they had so much knowledge. And like my dad would come up there and they call my dad Pops. And man, and them brothers adapted me and my brother and everybody in communities that want to play baseball, man. It's like family. The Program was a thing.
Mm-hmm. But hey, did you still have to get a head start when you was trying to get to practice, or could you go normal? Were they still trying to take your glove?
No.
Were they still trying to?
No,
steal?
we got to the program. We got to the program. There was too many rich dudes out there. They had LAPD surrounded them.
but you know what?
Daryl's brother was a cop, so there wasn't nothing jumping off at the program. Believe me, it was too much money up there. But yeah, the community supported, man. And I used to take ground balls with Chris Brown and Paul Blair, Barry Larkin, an all dirt infield, man. And it just taught me a lot of confidence. And they talked about, hey, man, you come out here, you show up every day. But our motto is like, we work out in the hood because we ain't coming back. So I took that to heart and kept working. That's just the is an LA style of playing baseball. And, people didn't really like it when I got drafted. They knew I hung with Darryl Strawberry, Eric Davis, Chris Brown. And, Chris kind of had a reputation with the Giants for, not being healthy a lot. And they just wanted to make sure I didn't, start to get any negative traits or any bad habits. And I was like, nah, man, these brothers inspired me and taught me how to really be a grinder with some dog in me. So I was like, nah, you guys don't even get it. But then when I went out on the field, I showed them what LA style was about.
Yeah. Like I said, even though you light skinned, you know what? Hey, baby, you know what I mean? Even though you light skinned. No. He came out the truth, though, because I was already in the league, though. You know what I mean? But everybody he just named, we all had the same agent. Right. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But I mean, going back your senior year after that junior year, I mean, you were the talk. You were the guy, though. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy, man. I just taken in the first round by the Giants. And, again, my dad was a big education dude. And I had to tell my brother to talk to my dad and let me sign, bro, because he was like, no, you going to SC. He was an SC fan. He didn't care about you know, whatever. But he was like, son, you make your decision. But, you know, you still got to educate yourself and figure out how to, you know, the Giants paid for my school. I went to school for a couple semesters here and there, but I really took it to heart because I started reading a lot about, you know, things that interest me, Black history, African American, you know, ancient Egyptian studies, all these different things that help me feel secure in myself. Because, you know, Greg, you know how it is. We in a man's world, and nobody's teaching you how to have that self-confidence from going from, you know, literally a young boy to a man overnight. Because now you got finances, you take care of family, you're doing all these things, but, you know, you still have to keep your peace of mind and have that confidence that, you know, these people, although they've been around business for a long time, can't talk you into something.
So what was your experience like once you got to the Giants? Was it something that you expected, or was it something different, or was you prepared due to the fact that you was dealing with Darryl and all the other baseball guys that was from Los Angeles? Did they prepare you? Because like me growing up in East St. Louis, I had guys like Kellen Winslow that went before me, you know what I mean, Eric Wright, Shelby Jordan, and they would come back and explain to us like, man, this is the way you got to make it. You know what I'm saying? These are the things that you have to do to be able to be successful in your career. Yeah. Was you prepared once you got there like that?
Oh, yeah, man, because, you know, like I said, sitting down at the program, the biggest lessons I learned were how to be a pro. Okay. You know, they talked about how you carry yourself. You know, I mean, to be real, it's like we don't have a lot of people talking about our you know, different struggles, because Jackie Robinson and, you know, Hank Aaron went through their thing, but, you know, we still had some racist issues that we had to deal with. Right. And I came to the Giants, it was a bunch of cowboy hats and cowboy boots and all kinds of stuff. I didn't really understand, man. These dudes were talking about hum baby. I didn't know what they was talking about.
Well, what does that mean?
Like, I just sat there and I didn't say nothing, but I knew where they were, you know, where their mindset was. Right. And, you know, they you know, they were proud to be rednecks and all this other shit. You just sit up there. I'm like, I'm not worried about none of that. I'm just balling out. And I'm taking my ass home and go hang where
Hey, I'm with you, dog.
I'm picking him up. Hey, we're going somewhere after the game. You know what I mean?
With you. I'm with you.
Yeah. You know, Straw and ED told me about, you know, to be real with you, they said, hey, man, you know, if you don't have you have a white girlfriend, leave her at the crib, man. Don't bring her around unless you married to her, because this is stuff that will slow your maturation, your process, and getting to the big leagues. And, you know, it's just real talk. I mean, the fact of it is, you know, we had to deal with stuff like that. You know, it's just like something that was frowned upon. Nobody's gonna really talk about it, but they didn't want to see you up there with no blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl at the ballpark sitting up there in the family section. They didn't want to see that. So
they frowned.
You know, just little warning signs and things to stay away from, and that was definitely one that you wanted to stay away from if you wanted to, you know, keep your progress going to the league.
But you were blessed with, like, you had Dusty. You know, that's the Godfather. You know what I mean? You had Mitch. You know what I mean? You had Barry at the time, but.
His brother.
You know, his brother was. I mean, that was my guy though. But Royce said, but the part he leaving out though. I mean, he was young when he went. I mean, out of high school, he went to the big leagues young. But see, he was light skinned with hair. So this one, I mean, he had a lot of problems. You know what I mean?
I have a question for you, Royce. I have a question for you. Do you have any, as you look back through your career, do you have any regret, or would you do anything different besides like a contract negotiation? What part of your career where you can look back and say, I should have done this different, and what do you contribute why you didn't do it? Was it maturity, or do you have any part of that?
No, I mean, from a very early age, I stood on my own too. You know, the Giants had offered me a 10-year contract. Barry had just come over. You know, Barry took care of me as a young player, and it was also part of the expression I was able to, you know, express myself, because Barry came with that swag and Dusty became the manager. I was like, okay, here we go. And that's the year we won 103 games. Darren Lewis was in center field. That was my roommate. And, you know, seeing our first trade when Darren got traded, it just woke me up to the business of baseball. But, you know, long story short, I think my path was supposed to go exactly how it went. The Giants traded me because I didn't sign that 10-year deal. And, you know, went to a very hard situation in St. Louis where I had to replace Ozzie when he was still on the team. But it made me a much stronger person from going through that. And I don't know if my maturation process as a man would have been the same if I had stayed in San Francisco. So I had no regrets of anything in my career, not even till my last day of you know, winning a World Series in Boston.
So how was your?
See, they from Boston. See, they all jumping up and joining. Dee's wife talking shit now. She said she got her Celtic shit on now. Now she's talking about the rest of it.
Another championship.
So how was? Tell me about your days in St. Louis, man. I mean, how was it? How did your St. Louis days fit you? How did you like it? Tell me about St. Louis, because that's where you really cut your bread at there. Because you know that's where people started knowing exactly who you were. To me,
yeah,
I may be saying it wrong, but when I learned of you at this time, I was playing in Minnesota, and they told me, they say, man, we got this young fella finna come and take Ozzie's spot. You know, and by us being in St. Louis, we want to know who's moving in on Ozzie.
But they already do, because I'm telling you, this like GQ magazine, this motherfucker right here. I mean, he had a lot of problems. You know what I mean?
The good ones.
Good problems.
The good
you know
problems.
What I mean?
It was one of the toughest things I ever went through, like I said, but it you know, Ozzie was the reason I played shortstop. I gave all the credit to Ozzie. He knew I looked up to him as a kid, but when I got there in St. Louis, I don't know, personally, I think you'd have to ask him, but he wanted to go out on his own way. But Tony La Russa was the new manager.
Right.
And, you know, he was like, this is going to be my shortstop. And, you know, like I said, I went through, you know, 30,000 people booing me every time I took the field at home.
Right.
And I was just like, damn, this is crazy. And, you know, I thought Ozzie could have, you know,
made it. He could have made it a lot easier.
He had his own agendas. And look, man, he announced his retirement right before the All-Star break. He said, all right, I'm going to retire. But at that point, I was already playing the majority of the time.
Right.
And I'll never forget it. So every last game of visiting, when we go play a visiting team, they would give him, you know, the farewell gifts, which was well deserved. But he would play on that day. And we went into Pittsburgh. We won the first 2 games. We had one more game to clinch, and I didn't start that game, man. And I went home and called my mom after we clinched. We won that game. I was crying.
Really?
Because I wanted to be out there with my dudes that I've been battling so hard with. This is the first time I've ever, you know, had a chance to pop champagne. And I wasn't on the field for that. So, you know, that hurt me. But anything else, I knew that when the playoffs started, it wasn't about me and Ozzie anymore. And I was just happy to, you know, that it was about the team. And I was about balling and trying to go to the World Series. But it was a tough situation. My parents went through it with me. As a matter of fact, after the season, my dad went to go see my grandmother in Texas. And he suffered a stroke on the way home. And I never forgave that, because I knew that he was going to every single play, every city that I had in the deal in St. Louis, and that's why I left.
Okay.
Could you tell, like, the younger athletes that are coming in that are faced with that, where they have to replace like an idol or a hero, and because, I mean, you must get in the locker room and feel a certain way because you can probably feel the tension and stay professional. How do you tell a young athlete how to deal with that type of situation where he has to replace his mentor or a hero?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I had Ray Langford, Brian Jordan, Ron Gant, Delano DeShields. I had so many young brothers that supported me on and off the field that I felt that brotherhood. So we were ride or die together, and nothing could over I guess drown out the fact that this was the pinnacle of what was my career. I felt every single day. But just be careful who you look up to.
Right.
Everybody, nobody's perfect. I don't have any grudges towards Ozzie. I got love for Ozzie to this day. Everybody handles things in their own way, but I made it my obligation, my responsibility that when I was in that situation, it was time for me to, kind of step away from the game. I did everything I could to help the incumbent. I wanted to make it easy for a Ricky Weeks, a Bill Hall,
right,
and these young brothers that wanted to play my position because I know how hard it could have been for them. So I did everything I could to support them, and that's the way I took it, is learning from that how hard it was for me to make it easy for the next brother that came through.
Right,
but and that's a good point, because when we were playing, you know what I mean, it was like, even in spring training, you know what I mean? Because one team's in the cage, the other team's walking through the gate. Each team had like 7, 8 brothers on the team. So it was like a family reunion, you know what I mean? Where we eating at, where we get your hair cut at.
Yeah.
And you having 2 young boys, and a daughter. His daughter, is she USC now, right? Or next year?
She's going to, the triplets, one's going to Oregon to run track. My other girls, San Jose State, and I just going to for baseball.
Yeah, but
and then Royce is going to commit to Pepperdine North. It's like they all doing.
Yeah, but that's why I wanted short, because this man's a father. I see it firsthand. Even when he comes here, he stays with me. I know he's waiting for me to get healthy so I can get some more of his money on the golf course. But anyway, but no, he's a father. What'd you say?
I said, now you lying.
No, but this man's a father. Like I said, he has going to Cal, SC. All of his kids, and he's been there every step of the way. You know what I mean? So you're like a little brother to me, but Royce is real. Like I said, he keeps it real. He knows how hard. What do you think about the game today and the direction it's going for, the people like your kids?
Man, it's so hard, Greg, that, it just changes so much. Because I started coaching high school 8 years ago. And, I was still trying to figure out the landscape of how these kids go to Division I schools, or, what the requirement is, the skill sets. So, my coaching staff was, Dimitri Young, Jeff Weaver. I had Joe Borchard down at the lower levels. So I brought around pro guys just so that we could teach a pro way. And believe it or not, when kids would go to these camps and go to these showcases, they're hearing the exact opposite of what we're trying to teach as far as the fundamentals of the game. It became about swinging angles and throwing as hard as you can, not playing the game, not running the bases. Nobody cared about defense. So I think we just did the best we could, and that's all I can say, is that we're still teaching baseball no matter how much baseball is trying not to be baseball. I think that the morals and the things and the lessons that we teach along with the game are the most important things about teaching these young people to be young men, to be, selfless, and to be, held accountable, and to, show up on time. The life lessons that, nobody seems to care about is how we teach. And I think that's why I had the success that we had at Oaks Christian. Now, I don't know if you know this, but I stepped down after this year.
Did you really?
I stepped down. My kids graduated, and to be honest with you, they acted like they was going to go in a different direction. I said, "Hey, man, I'll help you make that decision. I'll step down." So it's no deed is really appreciated when it comes to this stuff. But we're the only ones that really know the spirit of the game and can really teach that essence of the game. But it's not appreciated. And to my point, I don't care, because the kids that we teach and the kids that we coach, they're going to be better men from it, and that's the most important part.
Do you think a lot of analytics taken over what you guys was trying to teach, and do you think that's the reason they wanted to go in another direction?
Yeah, the analytics is everything. I mean, that's what they lean on. Like I said, I don't think it's something that should be ignored in the game. As we always did some type of analytics ourselves. It wasn't called analytics. It was just called, we know hunches, and we don't play so many games against certain guys. We knew tendencies.
That's what we call the tendencies, yeah.
So we can call analytics, but the analytics is taking out the human spirit, the heart, the determination, the winners. You can have all the analytics you want. It can't measure how much heart a kid has, or how much desire is what to do with our swing pass, and how hard the ball came off our bat. It was a deep-rooted desire to go out there and do some damage and compete, and that's the thing that I've seen that's it's gone away, but it has to come back, because it's just a lot of things that I think need to be changed. Go back to what we know it's about.
Hey, Royce, let me ask you this, because I remember when you came here. I mean, like I said, this is my dog. We smoked cigars together. He's at my house. So he was playing a game, and this kid was ranked 3rd in the country. Remember that dude that was the left-handed hitter that was 3rd in the country here? I mean, he was ranked number 3.
Yeah.
He couldn't have been ranked number 330th, right? I mean, am I right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
But when you go to how come when our kids go to, well, my kids too, how come if our kids go to a park and someone's throwing BP and they hitting balls all up in the bleachers, and doing all those things, that's different than playing the game. Would you agree?
Absolutely, yeah.
That dude was going, that kid, no disrespect to that kid, but that was horrible. What, am I right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, these showcases, they're being rewarded, and the athletes, as athletes, you're going to adjust to whatever everybody's telling you have to do in order to get some type of recognition.
So I have
if analytics says you got to spin the ball hard, you're going to spin it hard. If it says you got to just throw it as hard as you can, you're just going to throw it as hard as you can. And on the offensive side, if it says you just take an A-hack and swing as hard as you can, and strikeouts don't matter, that's what you're going to do.
So Royce, as
we as players can sit up here and argue till the cows come home, but to be honest with you, I don't think they want to hear it.
They don't. That's why they keep us out. You know what I mean? We're a threat to them. Instead of finding, like a common ground. They don't want you around. They don't want me around. Me and you talked about this. We talk about it all the time. You know what I mean? And like I said, we're trying to teach, but goddamn, if you got a guy on second base, you can't just you got a guy from Columbia or Harvard saying swing up and strike out, when all you got to do is hit the ball to second base and move him over. Next guy hits the ball to second base. It's an RBI. What's wrong with that?
So Royce, I have a question for you. As a player and a coach, how do you feel about those camps, that those star players have camps?
Showcases?
Yeah, how do you feel about that? Does it get away from the true teachings of baseball? Or so you've seen both sides, so give me your opinion.
It has nothing to do with baseball. If you're measuring, I played shortstop for over 2,000 games, and I never cared about how hard I threw it across the diamond. I was just going to get Greg out.
Shit. He wouldn't get me out. I killed y'all, dog. You know that. The Cardinals and the Giants. And we kicked it after the game. But you weren't, But if I knew, but for me, if a guy was on third base less than 2 outs, why wouldn't I hit a ground ball to Royce up the middle? You know what I mean? Or the second baseman. You know what I mean? It's our kids are becoming robots, and I see it differently because at an early age, these kids have hitting instructors at 8 and 9 years old, and they don't have a hit. You know what I mean? It's swing up.
Yeah.
You know, and this is my own opinion. They had to put spin rate, sweeper, exit velo, and all that on the board because baseball was bad. You know what I'm saying? So you couldn't look at the average. You couldn't look at the RBIs. You couldn't look at the production. So you had to put some other shit up there to look at the confusion, right?
Right.
Because if I popped up to the catcher, exit velo wasn't that good. But if I knew, they were chasing that shit off the gate, I don't need I don't need a number to say that was great exit velo. Dude, you know highlights I was watching the other day, and I just happened to watch SportsCenter because the NBA was on. Now they're not talking about hits or home runs. Well, this guy's hit one of the two hardest balls this year. Can you imagine playing with George Bell, fucking Pedro Guerrero, Dave Winfield, George Brett, Don Manley? That shit was all Kirby Puckett, Dave Parker. That shit was Shep, Albert Bell, Bunkins. All of that shit was hard.
Guilt. Don't leave Guilt out.
Yeah, Brian Guilt, Brian George. I'm just saying.
BJ.
Dude, it was all hard. But now you make SportsCenter on the ball, you hit hard now.
Yeah, it's out. You out.
But you hit hard.
I'll be back hard to somebody online. I'm like,
man, that's a great hit.
Okay, but I understand the premise of it. But here's the deal: the best hitter in the game right now, that little kid, what's his name, that plays in San Diego, Alvarez or whatever his name is. Yeah, that kid can hit. He's like Tony Gwynn. He just perfected what his ability is. Now I couldn't go up there and try to hit bombs like Vonnie. He had natural pop. That's what we said. And everybody can't try to be doing the same thing. I can specialize my talent and bring what I bring to the ballpark every single day to help us win and be a great player based on my gifts that God's given me. But why are we measuring everybody on the same plane? Because this guy is you're the run producer. I got to get on base for you.
Yeah.
I ain't got to. If I got to take a walk or whatever and chink some, but then you drive me in by hitting the ball hard or going yard. But everybody can't be trying to play power, and everybody can't be a power pitcher. Everybody's got to do what they can do and specialize into their talents and master that, which makes you a great player.
But don't you think, Royce, and that's a great point, you know what? They said, know who you are. You know what I mean? Like, if I went up there and tried to bunt, Lou Piniella would be like, what the fuck are you doing? We got people to do that. That's not your job.
Yeah.
Am I right?
That's not your job. You're right.
It's not my job. Fernando Vina, he got on top of the plate. He got hit the ball the other way, and turned double plays. He played the best. What was the dude that took 4 crow hops from the Angels to throw the ball across the field? But he was always in position. The shortstop.
Eckstein.
Yeah.
David Eckstein.
He took 4.
Yeah.
He took
little bitty dude. Big as 2.
Yeah. Right now, what about Greg Maddux?
Greg Maddux would never got drafted.
Tom Glavine.
Never got drafted. Never.
So is it because of the money? Because people are in it for themselves because of contracts. Because you're only in their game for so long now, so everyone wants to make their maximum amount of money.
No, I understand.
Because like you said, it's like we know that you're going to make more money than the dude that's bunting, right?
I know I was a run producer.
Yeah, exactly.
I was not trying to win a bad title. You know what I mean?
Bunting now, or not bunting anymore, is because he wants to make the most money. But that's because it's told to him.
Yeah, but
it's actually the game's fault for.
Yeah, but if you ask Royce, when we came up, and I don't know who your coaches were in the Giant system. You know what I mean? But in Milwaukee, Ben Ogilvy, Cecil Cooper, we had dudes that raked and knew how to play, teaching us how to play the game, right? I don't know who your coaches were. You know what I mean? But they don't allow those coaches to coach anymore. They allow the guys to say, yes, 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 yes. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You know what I mean? But you said something else though. You said it's not the money. It's they don't. You got guys from Brown and Harvard. They're telling them what to do.
Yeah, but that's because they're trying to max their money out too. Because
but you can't max out when everybody some bitch hitting 190, dude. I'm telling you.
No, but it's all about ad sales, right? It's all about TV revenue, right?
Are you gonna watch a guy hit 180?
No, that's not what I'm saying. But like, as far as like highlights are concerned, people are only watching highlights for the most part these days. So they're only going to see the home run.
They see the highlights.
They're not going to see him striking out 90.
Hey, Roy.
It's just a question.
No. This is a question. I played with Rob Deere. I mean, he was cock diesel. That son of a bitch. I mean, he can run, throw, do it all.
Yeah.
Hit the ball over the gate. Rob Deere right now be making $100 million.
Yeah.
A year.
Yeah.
I mean, he would have 35 home runs and 66 RBIs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that would be $100 million. We got released on numbers. I mean, a bad year was like, 25, 30, 25, 20, 75, score 80 runs. You a freaking all-star right now if you do that. You know, am I right?
I just from an outsider's perspective.
But the outsider,
no, you're right.
Like our fan perspective. Like
a fan's perspective.
Yeah, well, because I think it is.
You think it's contracts though when you hit 180 and?
No, it's not that. It's that they're like you need eyes on the game, right? So like we all know like the home run year, right? 98, the year you hit 50. It's like you had more eyes on the game at that point because people were hitting the ball harder than ever, bigger than ever, right? Like you had, I mean, what was the strike year was like 94. It was like only 4 years before that we missed half a season.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, dude.
Yeah.
Julio Franco, with that bat pointed at you, would hit some shit where I'm ducking because it's hitting behind me. I didn't want to get hit.
Well, that's why I think
guys know how to play. Royce, who was your coaches in minor leagues?
Joe Strain, Rafael Landestoy. I had some big leaguers. My first coach was a big leaguer. My first manager. So Tony Taylor, these guys all played in the big leagues, and then by the time I got to Dusty, it was, you're hanging out. Willie Mays is hanging around, and Orlando City, we lost both of them. Stretch. I mean, we had so many Hall of Famers that were grooming us, and then you had veteran players McGee, and Kevin Bass and Mike Jackson, and all these dudes were teaching young players because they had a value. They may not have been the top players in the game anymore, but they had a value to teach. And how else you gonna learn win if you got a bunch of young dudes chasing money and trying to throw up ridiculous numbers, and them kids ain't gonna learn how to win. There's nobody teaching them how to win. But yet all these teams supposedly want to win. That just doesn't even make sense. You gotta have people to teach young people to win. I asked this dude as a college recruiter, he's like, we want to win. I said, well, have you thought the program hasn't won? Or are you getting players that have ever won anything? As that doesn't matter at a showcase. You have to start to learn to win somewhere. And when are they going to start doing that? So these are the things that need to happen. You need to have the right type of teaching, the right type of mentality that's going to maximize the player's full development. He's going to be a better player by being around greatness. That's how you become great. You imitate greatness.
Yeah, but
let some of that rub off on you.
Oh yeah.
I don't know who's talking to these dudes. I don't know.
Yeah, but dudes that never played are talking to them. So my point is, if you go back over all the last World, the people that won the World Series, who are the managers? Who is their coaching staffs? From the Braves to Houston to Bochy and keep going. Who were the teams that won? You know what? You're a Dodger fan. I know that. And I love Dave Roberts. I love Dave. But Dave Roberts, he had to do it their way first. And that shit changed the pitches every one pitch. I mean, what the fuck?
Coaching also have to do with that?
Would you say coaching?
I think coaching too might have also had to do with max contracts and stuff. Because like guys were still coaching back in your day because they didn't.
Can you hear him?
They didn't make as much money, so they kind of have to still be in the game, right? Like it's just an
no, just the game, but they don't want us in the game.
They don't want you guys in the game. Is that the deal?
No,
they don't want us in the game. Those coaches that you said, those are the guys that a lot they get out of A-ball.
Yeah. And,
you know, but the winning teams, like, you know, you got Gary Pettis, and, I mean, Ron Washington. I mean, he has people that, do I want Torrey Hunter, Bo Porter? Do I want, you know,
no, it's going to make him look like he don't know what he's talking about, because the simple part of baseball is simple. And then they bring these analytics in and bring all these so-called smart coaches in, and they make it look difficult, and it's not a difficult game. Baseball is just as simple as it was from the time we started playing when we was 8-year-old until the time we retired when we were 35 and 36, you know what I mean? But these guys want to make it so difficult. But if you guys come in and show these guys how simple baseball is, that will put them out of what they're doing. And now what they're doing with this analytics crap, well, the same way we feel about it in football, you know what I'm saying? All this, oh man, this, come on man, like analytics ain't nothing but tendencies, like you said, you know what I mean? Like I used to play against Brent Favre. I knew when Brent Favre was passing, when he wasn't passing. If he buckled up, I'm serious. If he buckled up both chin straps, I know his ass was passing. If he buckled up one, I know it's one. But see, people don't understand, if you follow a man's tendencies, you know what I'm saying? You know how they work. You know what I'm saying? And I remember one time me and Brent was at a golf tournament. I told him, he said, James, every time you see me, you get me. I said, man, because I knew you was passing. And he never even realized he buckled up both when he was getting ready to pass, because he was so used to letting it hang. And if y'all go back and watch any film of Brent Favre, and just watch it. Every time it's run, he got that chin strap dangling. But when it was passed, he buckled it up because he knew it's an opportunity or a chance that he gonna take a hit. And that's all analytics is. You know what I mean? But they don't want guys like us, older guys, coming in and telling the young guys, "Hey, get the film. Let me show you this film. Watch him do this." Jim Kelly, we knew when he was gonna do it because he turned his foot out. You know what I'm saying? That's analytics. I knew you were gonna pass. You turn your right foot out.
They called it analytics, but you know what it was? Tendencies.
It's tendencies.
You know, so, we know if he fanned, I know that's a change. I know if he turned it this way.
But see, but they don't want to spend that much time with the kids watching film. You dig what I'm saying?
I think they do though. You know, dude, these kids, they spend more time watching film than they do watching the player.
But what are they learning? I mean, are you watching the player, or are you just watching film? Because you can watch film all you want to, but are you watching the guy you're going to play against? When I played against a quarterback, I knew everything he was getting ready to do. Me and John Randall, when I was in Minnesota, we studied him from the time he picked his nose to the time he went to take a dunk. You know what I'm saying? You know people. You learn people.
Well, that's not, I agree with you 100%.
You did?
But like, me and Royce are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
They took that element out the game. You know what I mean? We had player meetings, every day? Chris Boswell said, hey, man, Wade Boggs is up. I know this son of a bitch, you know, he ain't trying to drive in a run. He ain't trying to hit no home runs. I just need to keep my pitch count down. I'm going to throw it away and let the son of a bitch hit it to you in left field. I already knew that. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, but we didn't have no analytics then. Only thing we had was, I'm watching, I got enough film. I need 5 game films to figure you out. Because if you do something 5 times, that is a habit. But that's a habit.
No, you're right. For you in the NFL, it's different. But like I said, we had player meetings. I knew Royce, you know, he played me on the pool side. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to hit the shit over there, but I know it's going to be pulled. You know what I mean? Am I right? Am I right?
But that's your thing. You know, I mean, that's just like we play a running back, and if I catch him, you know, because like running backs, they used to try to switch the eyes, look left, right, right, and eventually you going back to where you running because you want to know who in the heck going to be there when you get there. You know what I mean? So you watch them. And I know people like, man, how you can see it on film? Because what we would do, we would get the TV copy. The TV copy is always better than the copy that the team, you know what I mean, the team video. So the TV copy would zoom in on their eyes, and I catch them eyes going left, right, left, right, left, right. And that last place that you look, I know that's where you going. So I will stand up and look at you and be like, I ain't getting in my stance till I get done watching your eyes. And when your eyes get done, I know where you're going. But they call it analytics now, but we call it studying. Us players that's our age, even baseball, basketball, football, whatever sport you in, we watch the person that we was playing against, not just watching film. I didn't care what them other dudes was doing. I'm watching the guy that I'm going to play against. When you get ready to go against Nolan Ryan, and he might do something with his hat.
The first pitch, it ain't about that hat.
Right.
The first pitch is going to be like right here.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you kind of know a player. You know what I mean? You learn them along the way.
And you can't do shit about it. You know, Royce, where's the first pitch going? Right here.
Because he want to move you where? He want to get you above his plate, right? He want to make that plate look big as he could, right? Because if it looked big to him, now he control the whole situation.
Well, but the umpire, we had to learn the umpires too, though. But Royce, you know what? You said Willie Mays. Rest in peace. What? Let me ask you this question, twofold. The game. No, I want you to be like the light, dark-skinned Royce on this answer, though. You know what I mean? The light, dark. What'd you think?
I mean, look, if you look at what happened, I think I was so happy and proud for Reggie Jackson to talk about going back to the Brickwood situation, because I understand what the marketing angle for Major League Baseball was, but the reality is something totally different.
Give it to see. This is where the when you have your tan when you're playing golf. How about that version? Give me that version when you.
Yeah. So Reggie said, "Man, it's tough for me to come back here." Alex asked him a question. Said, "How does it feel to come back here?" And I'm sure the network Fox wasn't ready for Reggie's answer. He probably thought he was going to get nostalgic, but he told him straight up, "Man, it's tough for me to come back here." Why would any man want to go back to a place where he was treated like less than a human? Right. And hash up those memories. This man's 80 years old, hadn't been back there in 30, 40 years, 40 odd years. And he told the truth. He said there was, Bull Connor was in Alabama, all the racist suppression. He had to go to different restaurants. He couldn't eat with the team. And this is things that was the reality that Reggie Jackson went through. And for him to say that, and then we talk about what's happening in 2024 on the field between the two teams. We had one black player.
That's what I'm saying.
Just one black player. So why are we even there? What are we celebrating the progress of Major League Baseball? We're going exactly the opposite way. And here's the thing. I'm boots on the ground, and they always used to tell us, Greg, you'll say this the same thing. Back in the late 90s, late 80s, early 90s, Major League Baseball, we had a lot of black players. Mm-hmm. And it started to trickle out as we got close to 2000, 2001, 2002. Mm-hmm. And they started having meetings like, why isn't the black player playing baseball? And this is things that we try to answer about parks, resources, family dynamics, all these different things. Mm-hmm. Okay, number one, the truth of the matter is TV came in a factor, and the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Japan, all these foreign markets have what? They have broadcasting packages. Mm-hmm. They have networks. Mm-hmm. They have value that brings something back to Major League Baseball, which is money. So who's going to be on the damn field? Who's going to be on the field? They don't care about the black African American, because economically we don't impact the game to the bottom line of the owners, Major League Baseball, and the money interest that is around Major League Baseball. But when you talk about Telemundo and foreign rights and the game going around the world, those players are going to be on the field because that's where the money is.
That's right.
So it has nothing to do with black players not playing baseball. I'm down here, black players are playing at a level I've never seen. I'm down here in LA. I travel all over the country following high school athletes. I see black players everywhere. Those black players are very few going to make it through the system. can be equally dynamic, just as good, if not better, because the economics tell you that Shohei Ohtani is going to make the LA Dodgers $2 billion just from foreign rights. So we're losing economically, and that's the reality of it, and nothing's going to change that. So we won't see an increase at the end of the day of the African American on the field, because, to be honest with you, nobody really gives a shit.
No, nobody don't, because the trick is they look like us, but they don't. But they're not us. So the thing is, oh no, you know, they trying to say, oh no, we got black athletes. No, they not. They look black, but they not. You walk up to him and say a American word, he look at you like, what you saying? You know what I'm saying? But he look like you. That's the trick. The trick is that.
I still don't think
it's a trick. No, yes, it is, because they got it. They got to.
Like what he said. It's all about money.
It's all about the money. But they ain't got to trick you no more.
Yeah, but like he just said, like, how many Asians are on that field? You know what I mean?
Right.
How many Asians are in America?
But the Koreans are coming. They're all coming.
That's what I'm saying, though. But what I'm saying is it doesn't matter who's on the field.
Right.
It just matters about the money.
The money.
We're at the end of that. So they use, like, we learned this from Dennis Biddle, right? Because like Negro leagues were outdoing the major leagues. So like, oh shit, we need to make that money. Let's implement that. Boom. So then we used up that, right? Okay, now we got to go after Dominicans, like he's just saying, because we got to get up all those rights. But then we have to go up Japan and Korea.
But to sign them, it was cheaper. It was cheaper. But
it is cheaper. But it is about, like, he is right, because we talk about the World Series. And again, just like Mitchell, we didn't have about the world.
In the World Series, we didn't have Gary Pettis might have been the only brother on the field in the World Series a couple years ago, right? But what about travel ball, Royce? I mean, how much travel ball?
Look, man, baseball's becoming in America an elitist sport. If you don't have heavy resources financially, you can't afford to play baseball. Not at a higher level. I'm in the business side of it now, and we have a great facility in a place where, you know, these people want to pay. They don't want anything for free, so they can pay for private lessons. They can pay for bats. They can pay for gloves. They can pay for traveling. Man, I know families that spend $30,000 in one summer trying to get looks for their kids.
See, Roy, we might even be talking right now, dog.
Wow.
We might not have been talking right now. You know what I mean? $30,000.
Wow.
$30,000. That's. I mean, what do you? And then you gonna get a 5% scholarship for $10,000? The best case scenario. That's bad economics. But that's the matter. They chasing it, and I can tell them till I'm blue in the face. Hey, don't do that. Don't waste your time. If your kid's good enough, you can be seen. But here's the part about elitist sports is that everything can be bought. You understand what I'm saying? So baseball is going to be like tennis. Baseball is going to be like golf for Americans. If you don't have money, you might as well not even play.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you're not going to get.
That's facts. That's facts.
Yeah, because it's a way of boxing out the African American. And look what basketball is doing. Basketball is doing it.
But shit, basketball, there ain't no game, though, dog.
Yeah, basketball's
ain't no game. We got to have a few. We got to have a few. You know what I mean? But basketball been picking. I know you can disagree. See, we paying in tennis, baseball, soccer, volleyball, golf. Basketball getting paid at 12.
Yeah.
To wear Adidas, New Balance, but they're getting shoe contracts at 12. So it's a difference. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, the economics of what's required and versus, like I said, I've seen it in baseball. If you're you know 7 feet tall, you're gonna play somewhere. So what's the difference of like a 5'7" dude that can run? How is he gonna be able to showcase his skill sets when it comes to baseball? He's gonna have to go to a showcase. He's gonna have to go play in a perfect game tournament across the country. He's going to have to go play all these different things. He's going to have to pay for training. Hopefully he'll get something out of it, but it just becomes very expensive to get to the point to go to the next level. But now let's talk about Division I baseball. Division I baseball is where they consider A-ball competition now for the pros, because they cut down the minor league affiliates. Well, African Americans playing Division I baseball is less than 1%. So how are we going to get a look? And it's not education. It's not the education that says, "Oh, these players can hack it on the educational side." It's just like, hey man, I'm going through the recruiting process. Who's gonna vouch for me? Who's gonna call this coach on my behalf? Who's gonna really get the attention of a Division I school to talk about these other players? If he doesn't have the money to go travel, how is that gonna happen?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you fix the game?
Oh, Royce, he asked a question. Did you hear him?
Hey Royce, how do you fix the game?
The system is broken. We can't let Perfect Game make $1 billion, and they now, I don't know if you heard this, my kid went to a Perfect Game series and may have signed away his name, image, and likeness. So that's how deep they've done it. You come to a Perfect Game situation, they're making big money in the private sector. Mm-hmm. So the private sector of the sport is what's winning, and the private sector has to make it some type of measurable, right? To where the parent can take something home to say, "Oh, my kid needs to work on this. My kid needs to work on that. This is why he's this. This is why he's not." So the measurement of the talent has to change, and it starts with the scouts. That's a whole nother entirely different thing. The old scouts that drafted me and Greg are discredited as old dudes that didn't know nothing.
They do everything though.
These dudes knew more baseball than any of these metric dudes could imagine in their whole lives. And they know what a good baseball player looks like. They know what the development process for that player looks like. And they also cared about developing the player.
Yeah.
And they also would get in their cars and drive miles and miles across the country scouring for the talent. They looked for the talent. They went everywhere. They didn't leave a rock unturned. Now they go post their chair somewhere and sit up in a golf cart, wait for the player to come to them.
And take a picture.
That's where it starts.
And take a picture.
Yeah. No, they sit in the chair. They don't go nowhere to go see a player. They sit in one spot. And if the player can't afford to be there, guess what? That player's not seen. Mm-hmm. So I'm not just talking about the black player. I'm talking about all of the top players in the country. We're not even scratching the surface as to what that looks like today, because we're not having the proper people that can evaluate and go find that talent, bring that talent to the organizations. That system's broken.
Yeah, because
how are you going to get? How are you going to get the top player in the world without looking at every opportunity, every resource, every place in Kansas City to Wyoming, to Oklahoma, to the smallest little cornfields, to the ghettos in East Oakland and St. Louis. Those are the best players in the world. That's where they come from. Those players aren't being seen today.
No, you're right, because they don't go there. But also at the same time, though, it's like they don't care. You know what I'm saying? And you said something. Who's running our farm systems now? Guys that never played. Never played. And who do they hire?
Their buddies.
What'd you say, Royce?
Their buddies. Their buddies they went to school with. We play rotisserie league together. It would be a good combination.
No, but am I right?
Yeah. You got dudes being hired to be big league hitting instructors that were on Instagram. That's how they got discovered. Yeah. So,
but hey,
who do you fault that? Where a great coach misses his chance because of nepotism? Who do you fault there? Like, is it the owners, the organization, the owner, or?
Well, do you want light skin or do you want real skin?
Yeah, the real answer.
What are you talking about? I'm telling the truth. That's all I'm telling the truth. I'm saying, look, man, if we're gonna talk about the best players, and my buddy never made it to the big leagues. He talked about how the Montreal Expos back in the strike year had the most talent I've probably seen in all of.
Yes.
They had Rondell White, they had Delano DeShields, they had Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, Larry Walker,
everybody,
and Moses Alou. I mean, but the when I was coming through, the Montreal Expos were known for drafting the best athletes they could get their hands on. And that's why they were able to produce so many great players, Hall of Famers in the 90s, because that was their model. And they had good coaches. They had good development people that could take the time to develop these players. Instant gratification also rushes these kids to the big leagues when they're not even close to being ready.
Shit.
And so we're watching minor league baseball, but nobody really understands that.
But
these kids got 200 at bats. And the classic example: how you gonna bring? And I play with Matt Holliday. How you gonna bring a boy that just come out of high school, had 200, maybe 100 at bats, never failed in his life? It does things in minor league baseball, 50, 60 at bats, and you put him in the big leagues at 18. That ain't gonna happen. That's not King Griffey Jr. What was he gonna do to stay there? We gotta understand the hype machine can't be it. You have to develop that kid. And Jackson didn't deserve that. He deserved to be developed, and he's gonna be a great player.
He is gonna be
but
great.
Don't do that.
But hey, Royce, so
there's no reason to do
I had to win minor league player of the year twice, 30-30 twice, and shit. They were talking about sending, and they were talking about sending me down if I didn't do something when I got there. Am I right?
Right. Heck yeah.
But see, your sport does have layers where they encourage development. Like football and basketball, they don't have really like farm leagues where they encourage. Like, I mean, they have the G League, but it's not as deep as baseball.
But baseball, like he said, when we came up, we had Ben Ogilvy, we had baseball people teaching us how to play baseball. We didn't have a guy reading the book and on his laptop talking about swing up. And shit, I ain't never swung up on the ball in my life. Have you?
No.
You swung up. But you know what? Give me your best. I mean, like I said, we lost, to me, the best player ever to play the game. And you played with Barry and Willie. But what was it like to be around Willie Mays every day as a young kid?
Man, because, Willie embraced me because he lived down the street and said, hey, you can come eat at my house anytime you want. And his wife, May, would cook for me because he knew whatever. But I took him up on it seriously, Greg. I was over there almost every other day. So I'm sitting up here, man, I couldn't believe I'm sitting up here eating dinner with Willie Mays and hearing stories and really being embraced and the lightheartedness that he talked about the game. And, he's like, man, this is fun. Just go out and have fun. And, little intricacies about, how the wind blew and Candlestick. Just the little things like, yeah, man, you stay the right center. You hit the ball good there. You pull it at night. It ain't going nowhere. Stay the right center. And that grass, when you feel it, it's going to skip up on you when it's a high tide. And, just the wind blows, the ball hits to the third base side, turn your back towards second base and go back towards right. Just the little things that I could sit up here and just listen to all the morsels he would talk about, just talking the game. And I probably just got a small element of, all the knowledge, obviously, that this man had. But, man, just to be, like I said, surround yourself with greatness, have the presence, have the ability to be in the presence of greatness. And that's what rubs off on you. That's what makes you the players that we are today, Greg, because we, like you said, man, we can't speak enough for the players that came before us that helped us. And that's what I try these kids today is to, surround yourself with greatness is the bottom line. And it's going to rub off on you.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would say. Because that's what Dave Parker, how is Dave Parker not in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know. I mean, I know he's in a terrible way health-wise. I feel for Parkway, but, it's a media thing. And I never got caught up into, understanding how, we were judged by the media so harshly. If they didn't like you, they're going to do certain things to you and talk about you a certain way. And that's just the way it was, is that they have a way to finally stick it to you even when you're done playing. If you're dependent on them to get you into the Hall of Fame, to have these types of votes, If they didn't like you, man, that had nothing to do with your stats. They just weren't going to give you that opportunity.
I mean, that was my guy. Baddest man on the planet for about 15 years. You know what I mean? Parkway, we always wait till we get in the ground before, you know what I mean? You get your acknowledgement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's
yeah.
So, hey, you going to help us get Parkway in because we fight for Parkway to get in. And how about our other brother, Shep? 500 home runs, 500 doubles.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, as a coach, you know, Parkway was our coach in St. Louis, man. So, you know, like we said, we had a very special era of baseball as African Americans that, you know, I'd like to really start talking more about because our era is kind of forgotten due to, you know, the steroid era, whatever you want to call it. But it was the last time you see. I remember playing in St. Louis, our starting lineup. I was at shortstop. Delano was at second. Dimitri Young was at first. Brian Jordan was at right. Ron Gant was at left, and Ray Lake was in center.
Yep.
I said, man, and Willie was on the bench, and he said, man, I don't know if we'll ever see this again. And he was right.
But I went to Cincinnati.
That was special, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Very special.
I went to Cincinnati. I see the same thing. Then we got Brian Johnson as a catcher. You know, he from the town. He married a sister. You know what I mean? So we basically had, you know, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? It was different. It was different. But I appreciate you. You know, you're my cigar guy. I need some more, by the way. I need some more cigars, by the way. But I'm coming to Malibu, dog, because you know what? It's going to be 113 tomorrow, 14, 15, 16. I can't play golf yet, though. But I'm coming to Malibu. And you know you're always my boy at my house. But we have one saying here, and this comes from East St. Louis. What do we say?
We're breaking chains and building dreams, and you're a person that broke chains and built a dream, man, because that one part of the era in the early late 90s and the early 2000s, you guys was doing it in St. Louis. And me as a fan of baseball and being a professional athlete, man, I really appreciated it. And thanks a lot for doing what you did, brother, in St. Louis.
Hey, man, goes back to you, brothers. I appreciate it.
Hold on, I want to ask you one question. Man. You ever been to the Pink Slip?
Oh, you know that, man.
Bottoms up, bottoms up, bottoms up.
Hey, the clothes
Hey, Greg.
What?
I took Curtis Lasconic and Richie Sexton there one night, man.
What to the slip?
Yeah.
I told you.
Oh my God, they didn't want to leave, man. They was hooked.
Hey man, hey, that was my spot. Hey man, but man, God bless you, man. It was good to see your face, man. I know you can't see me, but I was gonna wait till this thing is over and switch it over. Then you're gonna see who I am.
Hey, we get backstage access.
God bless you, bro.
Oh, yeah. We get backstage access.
So we got the bar up.
See, this is Malibu batting cage, fella. This is how you get Malibu.
Got the big screens, and then we got the clubhouse. That's where we get to work in a lab. There's Weaves. What's up, Weaves? Weaver right there.
Which Weaver is that?
That's Jeff.
No fucking way. That's
Jeff Weaver.
Smokey, what up? That motherfucker Jeff Weaver is a beast.
Oh yeah, Jeff was tough.
But this is dude. Yeah, but look at a batting cage in Malibu.
Long way from the hood, bro.
Yeah, Clubhouse 805 doing it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Long way from the
hood.
That's nice.
Hey, I got to get to work, but I appreciate you, man.
You got to come get your picture on the wall next to Tupac, and Suge Knight, and everybody else in here.
I'm with it.
All right.
All right, fella.
All right, Royce, I see you. Yep.